Welcome to the $2,000 Blueprint. In this video, we will walk through a clear, prioritized plan to maximize a $2,000 monthly take-home income, especially when your fixed expenses are minimal. To begin, we will set a strict order of operations so every dollar has a job. Then, we will secure essentials, capture free money via employer match, build a true emergency fund, create sinking funds for big goals, and finally, accelerate investments. Along the way, we will include diagrams, examples, and quick quizzes to lock in the learning. Here is our agenda. First, we will cover Phase 1, focusing on mandatory costs and capturing the employer retirement match. Next, we will move into Phase 2 to build a true emergency fund. After that, Phase 3 will focus on strategic sinking funds for a car and education. Then, we will discuss the wealth multiplier via index investing and automation. We will also break down an actionable monthly split, targeting 50 to 70% savings and investing while your overhead is low. Finally, we will reinforce with diagrams, examples, and a couple of quick quizzes. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This video is educational in nature and does not provide financial, legal, or tax advice. Your situation may be unique, so please consult a qualified professional for personalized recommendations. With that said, let's continue to the strategy. Now let's set the mindset. Low overhead is your cheat code. When your expenses are minimal, you can aggressively save and invest, giving your future self a massive head start. The goal is to front-load your emergency fund and sinking funds so you can avoid high-interest debt later. With that mindset, let's map the priority flow. This flowchart visualizes the exact order of operations. First, from take-home income, you handle mandatory costs, especially car insurance in the range of $150 to $200 per month, and any other non-negotiables. Next, you capture the employer match, contributing at least enough to receive the full match because it is an immediate and guaranteed return. After that, you build a true emergency fund, aiming for $5,000 to $10,000, which represents 3 to 6 months of your maximum anticipated expenses held in a high-yield savings account. Then, you fund your sinking funds, saving $5,000 to $10,000 for a reliable used car, plus a month of maintenance, and setting a target for education or career programs based on research. Finally, you accelerate investments, allocating 10% or more to broad market index funds via dollar-cost averaging and increasing as your funds fill. This strict priority keeps you protected from debt while your money compounds. Let's begin Phase 1 with essentials. First, protect yourself with the debt shield by budgeting mandatory costs before anything else. For many new drivers, car insurance can be between $150 and $200 per month. Treat this like rent. It must be paid on time. Next, maximize free money by contributing at least the minimum percentage required to get your full employer retirement match. This is a guaranteed return and should be prioritized even ahead of aggressive savings. For example, if your employer matches 100% up to 3%, ensure you contribute at least that 3%. To reinforce, the rule of thumb is match before extra savings and before non-urgent wants. Enable auto contributions. Confirm your company's match percentage and vesting schedule, and set a reminder to review your setup in 30 days. In contrast to contributing without a match, securing the employer match provides an immediate return on those contributions. This accelerates compounding, especially early in your career, and often represents the best use of your first investing dollars. Without the match, there is no instant boost, growth is slower, and you will have to save more personally to reach the same goals. Therefore, matching contributions should be captured as soon as possible within Phase 1. Next, we move to Phase 2, building a true emergency fund. Your target is 3 to 6 months of your maximum anticipated expenses, meaning what you would spend if you had rent and a vehicle payment. Aim to reach $5,000 to $10,000 as quickly as possible to create real security. Keep these funds in a high-yield savings account or a cash management platform, ideally with appropriate insurance. Automate transfers weekly or bi-weekly, scheduled immediately after payday. Most importantly, reserve this money strictly for true emergencies such as job loss, medical needs, or urgent repairs. To make this concrete, here are illustrative targets. If your maximum anticipated monthly expenses are $1,200, 3 months would be $3,600, and 6 months would be $7,200. At $1,500 per month, targets would be $4,500 and $9,000. At $1,700, targets would be $5,100 and $10,200. Use your own expected rent, transportation, insurance, and other essentials to compute the right numbers for your situation. Now we transition to Phase 3, sinking funds. First, build a car fund of $5,000 to $10,000 for a reliable used vehicle, and include 1 extra month's worth of savings for immediate maintenance upon purchase. Second, set up an education or career development fund. Research realistic program costs today and choose a monthly contribution target that aligns with a clear timeline. Keep these funds in clearly labeled sub-accounts so they are not mixed with other savings. By cash flowing large purchases, you avoid high-interest debt and keep your momentum intact. This pie chart illustrates a suggested split while your overhead is low. Mandatory costs may take roughly 10 to 15%. Living and discretionary spending might consume 20 to 30%. The remainder, 50 to 70%, should be directed to saving and investing, including your emergency fund, sinking funds, and consistent investment contributions. This aggressive front-loading takes advantage of your unique situation. Moving on to investing, automation is key. Set up dollar-cost averaging with recurring purchases of broad market index funds each payday. After you have captured your employer match, either increase your retirement contributions beyond the match or invest through a separate brokerage account. Focus on consistency rather than timing the market. Aim to allocate at least 10% of your total income to investments, and increase that percentage as your emergency and sinking funds become fully capitalized. Here is a straightforward action plan. First, set up autopay for all mandatory costs such as car insurance. Second, adjust your retirement contribution so you capture the full employer match. Third, automate transfers to your high-yield savings account for the emergency fund until you reach $5,000 to $10,000. Fourth, direct contributions into labeled sub-accounts for your car and education sinking funds. Fifth, add or increase your automated index fund investments to at least 10% of your income. Finally, review and rebalance monthly, nudging contributions upward as each goal is achieved. Quiz time. Which priority order best reflects the plan we discussed? Option A, investments, then sinking funds, then employer match, then mandatory costs. Option B, employer match, then investments, then mandatory costs, then sinking funds. Option C, mandatory costs, then employer match, then emergency fund, then sinking funds, then investments. Option D, sinking funds, then emergency fund, then investments, then employer match, then mandatory costs. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is option C. The reasoning is that you first cover mandatory costs to prevent debt. Then you secure the employer match for immediate return. Next, you build the emergency fund for security. After that, you fund your sinking funds to pay for large goals in cash. Finally, you allocate to investments for long-term growth. Second quiz. Where should your emergency fund be stored, and how much should you aim for? Option A, in stocks with a target of 1 month of expenses. Option B, in a high-yield savings account with a target of 3 to 6 months of your maximum anticipated expenses, roughly $5,000 to $10,000. Option C, in cryptocurrency with a target of 12 months. Option D, under a mattress with no specific target. You may pause the video now to consider. We will discuss the answer in the next section. The correct answer is option B. Emergency funds should be liquid and stable, making high-yield savings accounts an appropriate home. The target is 3 to 6 months of your maximum anticipated expenses, roughly $5,000 to $10,000 for many people in this scenario. This timeline outlines a practical first year. In months 0 to 1, you set autopay for mandatory costs and enable the employer match. In months 1 to 3, you build the emergency fund to $2,000 to $3,000. In months 3 to 6, you reach the full emergency fund target of $5,000 to $10,000. Between months 2 and 8, you contribute to the car fund, including an extra month set aside for maintenance. From months 3 to 12, you contribute to the education or career fund using your research target. From months 4 to 12, you increase your investment rate to at least 10%, automated via dollar-cost averaging. Finally, in months 6 to 12, you reassess goals and reallocate cash flow from completed funds toward investments. These are the key takeaways. Use your low overhead to front-load savings and investments. Capture the employer match before extra savings for immediate return. Build a true emergency fund, equal to 3 to 6 months of maximum anticipated expenses. Use sinking funds to avoid high-interest debt on large purchases. Automate transfers, contributions, and dollar-cost averaging into index funds. Aim to save and invest 50 to 70% of your income while expenses are low, and increase investing as each fund reaches its goal. To recap, start with mandatory costs, then capture the full employer match. Build a $5,000 to $10,000 emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Fund your car and education goals with dedicated sinking funds to stay debt-free. Invest consistently through dollar-cost averaging into index funds, increasing contributions as your funds fill. While your overhead is minimal, target a save and invest rate of 50 to 70%. Thanks for watching. If this blueprint helped you, please like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more practical money strategies. What will you do next with your budget? Tell us in the comments, and we will see you in the next video.